What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Shadowlands video. Oh my god, where's my scarf? Hold on. It's underneath me. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? We're not even going to do a second take. We're just going to keep going. I'm just going to roll with the punches, baby. How are y'all doing? I hope you're doing very well. Grab your coffee. I have my scarf on the whole time. I don't want to hear anything else, okay? Scarf was on the whole time. Listen, we're going to do a relaxed video. No dungeon today, but we are going to talk about some news articles. Most notably, the Shrouded affix that has come out for the new season in patch 9.2.5 that's coming. The new Mythic Plus season, Season 4, where we're doing all the past dungeons. I'll get into it in a minute. I want to get a couple of little things out of the way first. And the first one that I actually want to talk about is right here. So I'm on the PTR right now. And what has most recently been added is some portals. So there's portals here to the dungeons that we're going to be going to in Season 4. If you don't know, there's a new dungeon rotation for Season 4, okay? So in patch 9.2.5, which is likely coming in a month maybe, a lot of the stuff that's supposed to be in the patch is on the PTR. It's done. It's here, or it's ready to go. So I don't know. I'm going to be optimistic and say it's going to come out in maybe a month or so. Maybe longer. But the point is, maybe it's like maybe it has to be like 6 weeks for the PvP guys. I don't remember. The point is, there's stuff happening on the PTR, and this is one of them. So the rotation, the dungeon rotation is the 2 Tazavesh dungeons that we have now, Upper and Lower Karazhan from Legion, both the Mechagon, so the Junkyard and the Workshop from Mechagon, and then the community voted on 2 WoD dungeons, which was the Iron Docks and Grimrail Depot. Lots of people are upset about the fact that there's Grimrail Depot in there, but there it is. I mean, that's what the community voted on. So what's happened right now is that there's portals here. One goes to Gorgron, which is WoD. One goes to Karazhan, just takes you right to Karazhan, and one goes to Mechagon, so you can start that dungeon. So these 2 are great. They take you right to the dungeon. And then Gorgron, I'm assuming it's right outside of the Iron Docks area in there. So obviously WoD was over here, and it's going to take you up to here, up to Gorgron. So I don't know where the portal goes to, but you can see here's Grimrail Depot right here, and then the Iron Docks is up here. So the portal probably takes you like somewhere in the middle. Maybe it takes you right in the middle here, and then you can fly either direction, whichever way you want to go. But these are the 2 dungeons that we voted on. So that's it. So that's the first part. The 3 portals are there. They're in the upper deck of Oribos, right near the Flight Master there. Okay, so that's here. And then we also have now, there's the guys for the tokens. There's 3 dudes that have tokens that you can use when you get the faded raid loot items. So let me just talk about that really quickly. So, of course, they're right in here. Your vault is here. To the right of the vault, there's 3 dudes, and they've each got items for you. Depending on the week, you know, you can buy different items from different raids, right? So this is the first raid, which was Castle Nathria. This is the Sepulchre of the First One's raid, the most recent one. It's got the first sigil in there. And then here is Sanctum of Domination. All of the item levels here are, you see they're 278 right there. I think the higher bosses drop 285. Now, here you can see it shows already the icon is here. Look at this. What's this icon? Well, this is the faded raid for this week. So it shows you which week has which faded raid. Castle Nathria is up for this week. If I click on it and we go to loot and we look at Mythic, you can see that it's up to 304 item level for Mythic. So the shop stuff here is 270 whatever, which is I think normal. Let's look at normal. Normal's 278, I believe, right? So if you do this raid on normal, it's 278. If you go to the shop guy, he sells 278. We know that there's going to be ways to upgrade these raid items to the mythic level, which we now know is item level 304. Okay, that's what this is here. So 311. 311 is for some of the later bosses, right? Like Sire Denathrius drops are 311. Sludge Fist is only 304. So Stone Legion and Sire are higher item level. That's how they've done it for the always. That's how they always do it, right? So this is it. This week, right now, if this was live, you could go into Castle Nathria and clear it, even on like heroic difficulty, let's say, and you get 291 item level drops. Now, it is the faded raid, so it has the faded raid affix that we talked about in a previous video. it's harder. It's a much harder difficulty. They've scaled it into next season. So basically it's like we get to do all these things fresh again. We get to do them all over again, which is awesome. Each week, this little icon will rotate through the different raids, right? So this week it's Castle Nathria. Next week, let's say, would be Sanctum, and then the week after would be Sepulchre, and then it would go back to Nathria in the following week. So you have 1 week to clear it to the best that you can on the fated difficulty, and then you're going to have to wait 1, 2, 3 more weeks for that particular raid to come back through the rotation. So that's it, guys. That's it for the raid stuff. So it's really cool, but all the icons are here. Like, everything's here, guys. I'm feeling really encouraged about the release date for this because it's all here. We can see it. We can look through this. There's a new splash screen, I think, for this expansion. So it's good. It's looking really cool. That's how that's working. Those are the 3 portals up above. Let's move forward. I got one other, couple other little pieces of of news I want to get to. So of course, right now, this week, this is happening right now on the live servers right now. Let me, I gotta get this back up again. Bum, 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 bum. We gotta always deactivate this. This is just not working the way I want it to, but that's okay. It's okay, not a problem. So right now, this week on the live servers, the mount is up. Mollie's up. The alpaca mount. So you go into Vol'dun, which is in Battle for Azeroth. You go to Battle for Azeroth. You go to Vol'dun. You kill the world boss, and you have a chance of getting Mollie. You can do that right now. Don't forget to go try it right now, at least once, because it's just a chance that it'll drop. So you have to kill. Does it show the? Yeah, Dune Gorger Crowlock. He's like a big dinosaur in the middle of Vol'dun. So go kill him, and you can try to get this mount. Now, let's get to the Shrouded Affix here. This is the first look, the Season 4 first look at the Shrouded Affix. So this is the new Affix coming in Season 4. Let me tell you what it basically does. Throughout the dungeon, the Dreadlords have invaded. Throughout every dungeon that you're going to do will be Dreadlords that have disguised themselves as regular enemies. So if you go into Tazavesh, one of those little broker-looking dudes who's an enemy, he'll have a little purple shroud around him. It's very noticeable from the videos that I've seen. And that little purple shroud it'll even have a little icon that says this target is disguised. I wonder what's going on here, like that kind of thing. So you know that enemy is going to, when you engage it, it turns into a Dreadlord. And those Dreadlords have a couple of different abilities. And they also give you a buff when you kill them. So I think, does he show it here? Dradnos got some great videos. Oh, that's the full video. You can watch Dradnos' video here, but let's just read through it here. So Shrouded seems relatively low impact and straightforward, even more so than the encrypted affix from Season 3. It's likely to compensate for players having to learn the new dungeons and routes. So here's a couple interesting things about it. They give you a buff. At the beginning of the dungeon, you talk to a broker. Dradnos shows it here really quick.
Sanguine, dude.
Yeah, it'll be so fun. We can.
Oh, I'm sorry. Nope.
We can use it to heal mobs if we want.
So there's the broker, and Dradnos will pick something here. I think he switches.
First this time, big tank.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good idea.
So you can switch it. You can see here, Bounty, Critical Strike, Haste, Mastery, or Verse. Now, it does show you exactly what you get here. At the start of each dungeon, you can choose which secondary stat you want. 2% crit, 2% haste, 2% verse, or 69 mastery. I don't know why it's the number for mastery, but it doesn't really matter. There's some really interesting things to talk about here, and I'll get to it in a minute. But this stacks over time. And I watched a couple of Dradnos videos and some other people who were able to actually test this on the PTR. I tried to get a group together, but I didn't have enough people to sort of come with me. So they went through the dungeons, and they noted that there's like at least 10 of these guys in the dungeon, maybe more like 15. Scattered throughout the entire dungeon on average. They did a couple of dungeons that I've seen. There's a lot of these Dreadlords scattered throughout. So let's just pretend like it's 10. Let's say the total number is 10. That means by the end of the dungeon, once you've killed the last one, you're going to have 20% crit, 20% haste, 20% verse, one of these, or 69 mastery times 20, right? Which is about 1,400 mastery. 1,400 mastery, right? 69 mastery times 10 is 690. 690 times 2 is like 1,200, 1,380. That's 1,380. So almost 1,400 mastery, which is kind of insane in my head for certain classes, right? Obviously, 20% crit, 20% haste, 20% verse on a tank is like disgusting, right? So these buffs are very significant. They are a little bit boring. Like, they're a little boring, but they're actually very significant. So that's what you do. You choose your buff at the beginning. As you kill the Dreadlords, they give you 2% towards whatever bonus, or they give you 69 mastery each. You start off with 1 stack. Every time you defeat a Dreadlord, you get it. And you might end up with about roughly 10 plus stacks. They're disguised. I think he also shows it
I don't know,
here.
Poggers.
Either I have an add-on or something.
So you can see this guy right here has a little purple shroud around him. If you were to click on him, Dreadnought clicks on him, and you can see that there's an icon in the top right-hand corner here, right? So that shows that he's shrouded. Now, when the mob will turn into what's called a Nethrism Infiltrator, and he has a couple of different abilities. He's got an ability that heals him. He has a Carrion Swarm. He has a Nightmare Cloud that puts you to sleep, just like the current raid boss, the twins. Not the Lords of Dread right now in the current raid. They have those clouds that put you to sleep. And then this Nightmare forces a player into a deep sleep filled with a feeling of helplessness. So this is all very standard Dreadlord stuff. Carrion Swarms, putting people to sleep. That's like their MO, right? So that's what they do. Whenever an Nethrism Infiltrator is defeated, the broker will show up, giving you 1 stack of a bounty, of your chosen bounty buff, which is the stat boost we just talked about. And they also give you this, the bounty payment. So it restores 6% of your health and your mana every second for 5 seconds. So that's 30% of your total health and your total mana. This is really, really good for healers, because right now we have the buff, which you're going to get on like almost every pack in the dungeon, and it gives you 100% of your mana back, which is actually overkill. It's like way, way too much. So getting 30% of your mana back is actually perfectly fine. This is a very good amount. I've healed a lot of Mythic Plus. It's really, really good that they're adding in a way to get mana back for healers. Most healers have like a base version of how they get their own mana back. Like Druids have Innervate, and Resto Shamans, when they crit, they get a portion of their healing of the mana back, but it's never enough. And so it's really good that they added this in, because I don't want to have to sit and drink. I'm so tired of sitting down and drinking. So I'm really, really glad that they've added this in. This is a good change. They're kind of bringing back some of what the brokers, the relic dudes that we fight right now, if you get you get all your health and mana back. They're bringing back some of that here. Plus, you're getting the stat boost. There is, however, one of the disguised Dreadlords will turn into a Miniboss Zul'gamux. Gamux? So far, it looks like it has more health and is harder to deal with, but it seems to be in a set location in the dungeon. However, with greater risk comes greater reward. So this chick has a bunch of extra abilities. It has like this hypnosis bath that puts players to sleep. This blood barrier, it looks like it's really difficult to deal with right now, because she puts a barrier on herself, and then she starts siphoning life out of everybody, so she starts healing behind the barriers. You need to break the barrier down as quick as possible. Looks like a little bit of a challenge for sure, and if you do end up killing her, the broker will show up and give you 3 stacks of your bounty buff and a huge restoration buff. So 20% health, 20% of your mana. It's 100% of your health and mana. This is the buff, except for the cooldown reduction, of course. But you're going to get 3 stacks of the bounty buff. So, 6% haste, 6% crit, 6% versatility, or 69 times 3 mastery, which is like basically 200 mastery. So very, very good. I think the stats are really interesting for Enhancement Shaman. Like, haste is obviously king. It's like amazing to have haste. And you can actually like curate your stats in a way that makes it so you need to get this buff to make your stats more balanced, right? So you go really, really hard on haste in your build, and then just pick up all your mastery when you're in the dungeon. I mean, you started out with 69 extra mastery, which is insane. My character right now has 816 mastery, and that equals 63% more fire, frost, and nature damage. 63% more damage to my fire, frost, and nature stuff, and I'm sitting at 816. Imagine if I had 690 more, or 1,400 more mastery. Like, that would be absolutely insane. That would be like, I mean, I know eventually you get diminishing returns, but for Shaman, mastery does not get as many diminishing returns. So, like, I'm interested to see the scaling on this. Like, how is this going to work with the diminishing returns? Is this just a flat 20% that gets added on top of whatever you already have? If you already have 40% haste and you add 20% more, does it just give you 20% more, or does it like have the diminishing returns affecting it? That'll be interesting to see once we get into sort of testing this a little bit more. But this buff is actually really significant, and I think there's a little bit of nuance to it, more so than you might think at first glance. and I think that like it looks boring, but I actually think there's something there. So that's the basic look at this new affix. It's a bunch of Dreadlords that invade the dungeon. There's at least, I think, 10 of them in every dungeon that people have seen so far. They seem to be in roughly the same position all the time. They're always inhabiting like similar mobs in similar areas. The mini boss seems to be in the same area in certain dungeons. Like I think I was watching Dratnos' stream and he was showing that on the Grimrail Depot, right after you kill the first boss in Grimrail Depot, the mini boss Dreadlord shows up right there, and you can't even sneak past it. You have to engage it. So that's an interesting discussion. Like, are there going to be some dungeons that are less linear and you can maybe sneak past the infiltrator boss? I'm not really sure. We'll have to see. The stats are really good. I think you can toy around with those a little bit. The stat buff also scales into the later part of the dungeon, right? So like, if there's a non-linear dungeon that you could do, which I was actually looking through all the different dungeons that we're going to get to do, and really none of them are non-linear except for Streets, Tazavest Streets of Wonder. So you can choose which boss you want to go kill, or like how many Dreadlords you want to try and kill before engaging in a boss, right? You could purposefully, on the Streets dungeon anyway, and maybe the Mechagon dungeon is also similar. Like the outdoor Mechagon dungeon actually might also have a similar feel to it. You can try and clear out as much trash as possible and find as many Dreadlords as possible to get your buff rolling before you engage in the bosses. Or on like tyrannical weeks, maybe you do it differently. I don't really know but I think there is actually some strategy involved with how you want to pull the different Dreadlords and how many buffs you want to get before you start engaging in a boss fight. I think that that's going to actually be pretty significant. On top of that, they have made some additional hotfix changes to this. We're going to have to see the PTR. This information is probably going to change a little bit, but for now, this is kind of what we've got. We've got Dreadlords. They're infiltrating. There's a mini boss. They're giving you a huge stat buff, and it looks like you get to choose whichever stat you want, which is kind of interesting. Maybe you could curate your build a little bit to work around the stat that you're planning on getting if you're like a full-time Mythic Plus person, that kind of thing, right? So it gives you your health and mana back whenever you kill one of these guys, which is huge. If there's like 10 of them scattered throughout the dungeon and you're getting 30% of your mana back on every single time you kill them, you're going to have no mana problems whatsoever. That's really, really good for healers. They can spend more time DPSing, more time, like less time sitting around drinking, right? You don't really want to be doing that. So what do you guys think about this? I'm just curious what you guys think about this whole thing. I want to know what you think, because I think there's so many pieces to this. Do you think that this is good? Do you think that this is better than the current season that we have right now, right? So we have the brokers, you have and Vi, and Woe in particular, letting you skip portions of the dungeon. Do you think that this new affix, are we going to miss Woe? Like, I think a lot of people are used to the way that Woe feels. Are rogues going to come back into the meta, do you think? Because we're not going to have the Woe skip anymore. Is it going to ruin how we do these dungeons because we don't have a Woe skip enabled? I think there's a lot of Woe in particular. I think is going to be the biggest thing that we miss. I think that was great because you got some cooldown reduction and some mana and stuff back, and Vi was just kind of whatever. But Woe was the most impactful, where you got to skip stuff. You got the speed, like on DOS right now. You can just like go do different parts of DOS you could never do before that quickly because you have the movement speed. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you like the idea of the Dreadlords? Do you like the idea of getting just a stat stick buff? Is that too boring for you? Or do you think there's actually some like interesting gameplay there? Are you going to miss the relics? And in particular, Woe, do you think you're going to miss those relics? Let me know in the comments down below. Let's talk about it down there. And that's it for the video. If you guys want to drop a like, I'd really appreciate it. If you would subscribe as well, it also really helps me out. I'm trying to build a big thing here. There's a Patreon down below that you can also donate to. That helps me to secure money for the future so I can continue doing this. For me, can keep making content for you guys and just stay on, do some more Twitch streams. I want to hang out with you guys. I want to be here and I want to keep doing this. So if you want to donate down there, I would really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until the next one, we'll see you later.